The second season of The Three Body Problem is about to release on Netflix. The reviews for the book are incredible. We have wildly imaginative, The War of the Worlds for the 21st Century, a breakthrough book. And the question rises for me, what is this book doing that's so special? What is it that other sci-fi books need to do in order to rise to the levels of The War of the Worlds? If you ask me, there are three key ideas that make this book excel. Three narrative ideas floating around in a story space, influencing and guiding one another. Let's talk about the three-body problem. All speculative fiction must explore pioneering science. If the three-body problem didn't do this, there is no world it would be a successful sci-fi. But one thing Cixin Liu does that sets him apart is pick the right scientific subjects to explore. Space travel's been done to death. We don't need another exploration of warp drives and interplanetary jumps, so the book sidesteps it. Instead, the book explores quantum space and dimensionality. These are some hefty topics, the kind that can scare people away if you get too in-depth on them. There's no simple, and then a rocket engine ignites to carry us through space in quantum studies. A lot of folks will run screaming the second you try to explain why quantum entities are both a wave and a particle. But Cixin Liu is smart. He knows that quantum mechanics kinda don't make sense. So rather than diving deeper into the quagmire of quarks and spins and Higgs bosons, he says, in my book, there's a reason things don't make sense. He poses mysteries. Messages in a person's eye, physicists abandoning their field, science with inconsistent answers. And this story resonates with anyone who's tried to understand particle physics. Our brains want to understand the world as tiny marbles bouncing around at incomprehensibly small scales. So the book leans into that. In the three-body problem, physics is broken. It makes sense in a twisted way. We don't understand the results, so maybe the results are being tampered with. Of course, quantum mechanics is unreliable because the Trisolarans are flying around interfering in all our experiments. Quantum mechanics may be insane in our world, but they aren't in Cixin's world. Sabotage. That's something any reader can wrap their head around. Now we move on to dimensionality. This is the realm of mathematics PhDs with 15 colored markers and very large whiteboards. It's a field so disconnected from our lived experience that any progress in that field feels a century away. Perfect for an alien race with impossible and incomprehensible technologies. Dimensionality is only given about a chapter and a half in this book. That's probably a good idea. Think for a moment what many dimensions mean to a regular reader. Either you're doing a Spider-Man multiverse, or you're dealing with non-Euclidean physics. It's impossible to visualize, it's impossible to reason through, it's just something the human brain hasn't trained itself to deal with. So Cixin Liu plays with the concept in its most broad terms. If a particle has 9 dimensions and we can't see 6, it's probably bigger than we think it is. If we cut a dimension away, it starts to unfold. The Trisolarans need a massive circuitry board with a fully autonomous AI burned into its surface. But to sabotage another world's scientific experiments, that AI needs to be tiny. Dimensionality. Cut a few dimensions away, turn something tiny into something gigantic. Like the biggest particle unboxing ever unveiled. Time to shrink back down? Just box yourself back up. Back to your multidimensional self. A simple, speculative exploration of the future of a field you really don't see much in sci-fi. One standout moment for me is when the Trisolarans accidentally cut a photon down to a single dimension and pollute their planet forever with its line segments. It's such a wacky and speculative idea, it's something you'd never see in another book. The joy of sci-fi is seeing our weak scientific understanding turn into almost magical outcomes. From afar, quantum mechanics and dimensional manipulations are perfect. No one but geniuses really have a clue what's going on. And more importantly, we aren't just told about all this. The book crosses out of sci-fi and into mystery to explain it to us. 30 impossible phenomena turn out to be directly related, all tied together in one brilliant invention revealed at the end of the book. It's easy to forget how much we sacrifice to further science. In order to find the Higgs boson, we had to build a 17-mile ring of superconducting magnets that costs $1 billion a year to run. It took all of NASA to put 3 people on the moon, and these are the success stories. Discoveries don't translate to inventions for another 100 years. Einstein figured out relativity in the early 1900s. It was another 50 years before we had anything that needed to include it in its calculations. And this is one of the biggest investments of the three-body problem. It's an epic trilogy that needs to span multiple centuries. We need to feel the cost of science. So how do you do that? You remind people of the past. For my money, the best part of the three-body problem is in the VR world. Players find themselves on the Trisolaran world, attempting to decipher the impossible movements of the celestial bodies over their heads. Historical scientists appear in the game and propose various elaborate models to predict the next planetary freeze-over or its next boil. And through the eyes of people like Archimedes and Copernicus, we see how hard it is to get things right. You don't get the right answer on the first go-around, or even on the 5th. The journey is brutal. We see citizens of this theoretical planet frozen or dragged off the surface by a powerful gravitational pull, and every guess costs 100 years. Even when the problem is life or death, no single scientific leap solves everything. At one point, the book makes use of a 100,000-person computer just to predict the solar system's next position. And even with an accurate model of the 3-sun solar system, the solution is still out of their grasp. All of this creates a context. Science is not easy, cheap, or fast. It costs the resources of an entire civilization, it takes centuries, and a complete understanding of a problem does not even equate to a solution. So when the book jumps to the Trisolaran planet and shows the reader how technologically advanced they are, it grounds the reader and helps them understand just how insurmountable the opposition is. There is no catch-up fast button. Victory is almost impossible. Science and civics are inextricably tied. To pretend someone can invent the printing press without changing the world is naive. But leaders are rarely scientists. A dark cloud permeates this book's society. Folks are tired of being humans on Earth. Themes of betrayal of species, giving up on humanity, embracing the Advent all lay on its pages. When humanity doesn't have an enemy, do we become our own worst enemy? In H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, there is no domestic threat. It's just an alien attack, and all of humanity are helpless against them. Not here. The biggest threat and three-body problem are the people on Earth. Folks who've decided to help an alien species invade. One moment stands out to me here. A moment when a random Trisolaran communicator receives Earth's message and decides to warn them. A lone individual that betrays their own species out of a general respect for all living things. There's not much room in this book to explore Trisolaran society as anything other than a species desperately trying to survive in impossible conditions. But this lone actor gives so much humanity to the alien threat. The angry and desperate drive the war. The angry and the desperate on Earth tear humanity apart. Things change after the Trisolarans are revealed. It's funny to say, but once there's an enemy, humanity rights its own sinking ship. The society of the second book is strangely healthier than the first. In a funny way, the mystery of a broken society is solved in this book. All humanity needed was an enemy. The book is about an alien invasion, but at its heart, it's a mystery, a scientific mystery. And for the scientific community, there's no greater joy than witnessing a team of experts turn 100 mysterious phenomena into one unified theory. I think that's the great achievement of Three-Body Problem. It turns scientific inquiry into a thriller sci-fi. In my opinion, that's the whole point of the VR section of this book. It's one big promise to the reader, a promise that says, through deeper understanding, we can unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. And at the end of this prelude to a sci-fi epic, the book delivers.